Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Elise. I'm one half of Dynamic Dutch, and we're here today for the first day of our free classes for total beginners for Dutch Week. So I'm joined in the chat by Marjolein. She is the other teacher for Dynamic Dutch, and she's going to be helping me to respond to the comments in the chat. And I'm really excited to have you here today. Many people think Dutch is very difficult to learn, but Marjolein and I are here to show that it's not. It can actually be really fun as long as you tackle it the right way. So our class today for total beginners. So if you're a little bit more advanced, be patient. Maybe one of the other classes this week is going to be more relevant for you. Tomorrow we're going to review some of the basic structures. And on Thursday, there'll be a class about ordering in a restaurant. And on Friday, we're going to be practicing if you have to go to the doctor. We don't want that to happen, but it can happen. And what would be some of the phrases that you can use then? So that's our program for the week. On Wednesday, we also have something fun. We are going to send a few games that are to review the material for the first couple of the classes and to prepare you for the classes on Thursday and Friday. So that'll be very useful for you too. So we hope that by the end of the week, you will have, a pretty decent knowledge, a lot of knowledge for being a beginner, and you can feel more confident about studying more Dutch, because that's the idea, of course. So we're super excited to have you here. And let's see. I want to start off by asking, because I can see that some people connected already, where are you from? Waar kom je vandaan? Okay, so as you write that in the chat, I'm going to open the material. Okay, and I also want to mention one thing. When Marjolein and I teach, during our classes at Dynamic Dutch, we don't do it this way normally. This is a special class, an introductory class. But usually we teach through Zoom, and it's very, very interactive. So of course, we have to explain things, we have to present material, but we actually get the students to talk as much as possible. Heel veel, because you are the ones that need to be practicing speaking a lot. So I just wanted to point that out so you know that this is not normally how we teach. And it's actually a little bit strange for me not to be able to hear my students, but it is what it is. Okay, I can see someone from Wageningen. Okay, oh, someone else from Wageningen. Leeuwarden. Okay, nice. Okay, good. So everyone so far is from the Netherlands, but we could be, having some other people tune in from somewhere else. Okay, give me 1 second so I could open up the material and we can get started. Okay, there we go. So, welkom. Wat we vandaag gaan leren. What we're learning today. I'm going to try and speak in Dutch as much as possible, and that's why I've got the translation here in English. Okay? Jezelf voorstellen. Telwoorden van 0 tot 100. Familie. En het enkelvoud van hebben en zijn. Okay, we're not doing a lot of grammar today because I want to focus on getting you used to the sounds, seeing a few simple phrases and questions in context. Okay, but it's useful to learn hebben and zijn, to have and to be, because we use those verbs a lot, obviously. Ik ben Elise van der Heijden. Okay, that's me presenting myself. I'm Elise van der Heijden. Ik ben Elise van der Heijden. Ik kom uit Wageningen. Ik kom uit Wageningen. And you can see that some people already tuned in from Wageningen. Aha, de stad Wageningen. So here's a picture of a place that everyone that lives in Wageningen will know. De stad Wageningen. I want to point out a few things about pronunciation here and there too. And the W, for example, is a sound that's very different in Dutch than it is from English. Because in English we have wa, what, right? But in Dutch it's v. You kind of touch your top teeth touch your bottom lip and you do Wageningen, Wageningen. Okay, so that's one to practice. This is something I forgot to point out. Please feel free, unless you're on a bus or something, to say the things out loud. If this is your first time taking a Dutch class, don't be afraid. It might sound silly, but you have to start one day, and this could be the day. So just say, repeat everything you hear. Kom uit Wageningen, kom uit Wageningen. Because if you listen to yourself, you can compare it to what it should sound like, if it's sounding right or not. Jezelf voorstellen. Oké, vraag, question. Hoe heet je? Of, hoe heet u? So what does that mean? What's your name? But it doesn't really look like the question, what's your name, does it? It doesn't say name, naam. We do also have the question, wat is je naam? Wat is je naam? But I didn't put that on there because this is actually much more natural. We use this more. Hoe heet je? So why are there two versions then? Hoe heet je? Who, how, heet, the verb, what's your name, basically. Je. Je means you, and u also means you. So the difference between the two versions is that u is the formal version. Okay? Not all languages have a distinction between a formal and informal form of address, but Dutch does. For example, English doesn't. We would say you to any kind of person. I'm not going to go into more detail about that now, but just remember, there's two ways. Hoe heet je? And hoe heet u? U for a more formal setting or maybe an older person. So, how are we going to respond then? Ik heet Elise. Hoe heet je? Ik heet Elise. I can't see the chat right now, but feel free to write your name in the chat and then maybe Marjolein can respond. Okay. Or you can also say ik ben. You can see two options there. Ik heet, my name is, ik ben Elise. Okay. Translated literally to English, that would be I am. But that's also a very common way to respond. Ik ben Elise. Okay, so if I ask you, hoe heet je? You'd say, ik heet Piet. Ik heet Elske. Okay, goed gedaan. Goed gedaan. Well done. Waar kom je vandaan? Waar kom je vandaan? Aha, so we have the v sound. Waar kom je vandaan? So the V is vandaan. It's sort of similar to English, isn't it? Vandaan, very. Yeah, vandaan. Okay. Vraag, question. Waar kom je vandaan? Where do you come from? Kom comes from komen, and this means come. Vandaan means from. And the response would be, ik kom uit. And then you can either say the country or the city. So if I, for example, meet another Dutch person, I would say, waar kom je vandaan? And they would probably say the city, because I can hear that they're also from the Netherlands. But if I meet someone and looks, or I think that they're foreign, or they're from, that they would probably say the country. So let's practice that too. So you can either say the city name, and also, waar kom je vandaan usually refers to where you were born rather than where you're living at the moment. Okay? For example, I was born in Nijmegen. Ik ben geboren in Nijmegen. Okay, so if somebody asked me, they would say, waar kom je vandaan? Ik kom uit Nijmegen. Okay, but you can also say the name of your country. If you don't know the name of your country in Dutch, well, you can say it in English or look it up. Some countries are the same, actually. Waar kom je vandaan? Ik kom uit Ghana. Waar kom je vandaan? Ik kom uit Engeland. Waar kom je vandaan? Ik kom uit Spanje. Okay? So I hope you're writing all this in the chat. I can't see it right now. Okay, we gaan verder. Here's another little sample conversation, because at Dynamic Dutch, we like to do a lot of material really focused on putting it in context, because it's the most effective way to learn, because you retain it much better, and it's also more fun, right? It's more realistic and practical too, because you can use it. Dus, waar kom je vandaan? So we have these two ladies that are meeting each other for the first time. Hallo, ik ben Nadia. Hallo, ik ben Maaike. Ik kom uit België. En jij? Ik kom uit Engeland. Welkom. Okay, so I think we should know all the words there. Maybe en jij means and you, right? Because she's already saying ik kom uit België. So it's a little unnatural to say then, waar kom jij vandaan? Right? Would you say en jij? Okay. She could also say ik ben Maaike. En jij? Right? It's one of those short sentences. And here she says welkom, because this is a setting where, she's probably joining a new company. Okay, shall I read it one more time, just in case? Hallo, ik ben Nadia. Hallo, ik ben Maaike. Ik kom uit België. En jij? Ik kom uit Engeland. Welkom. So you can also see that a lot of the country names are quite similar to English, for example. So I think you can guess that België means Belgium and Engeland means England. Okay, so feel free, as I said, to say everything out loud. Unfortunately, I can't hear you, but I'll trust that your pronunciation is very good. Okay, we gaan verder. Telwoorden van 0 tot 10. One more thing, I'm going through things quite quickly today because we want to just introduce you to a lot of material in a short time. 30 minutes is not a lot. So normally we would obviously practice this a lot more, do a lot of more questions back and forth. Okay, telwoorden van 0 tot 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, little note about pronunciation. 8. So the CH is almost always it's the sound, which we also have with the G, 9. Okay, so if that's not a sound you have in your language, you have to practice a little bit more. 8, 9. And there's also not a lot of time today to really focus on the vowel sounds, but that's something to practice when you start with Dutch, because there's some vowel combinations which might be confusing, right? Drie, for example, drie, maybe if you read it from an English perspective, you might think it says dry, okay? Maar it's drie. And same with IJ is actually like a Y, sort of. So it's 5. Okay. Een voorbeeld. Okay. Ik heb 3 katten. Ik heb 3 katten. Ik heb 2 broers en 1 zus. Ik heb 2 broers en 1 zus. Broer. That's also another vowel combination. You have to practice a little bit to get it right. Ik heb 1 mobieltje. En ik heb 1 fiets. Okay, and fiets, bicycle, is obviously an essential item you have to have if you live in the Netherlands, right? Not everyone likes cycling, but it's very practical. The Netherlands is basically designed for cycling. So, okay, so I'm racing through, as I said, but we want to quickly read through the numbers because I want you to be able to say your age during this class, okay? So I'm just going to race through the numbers 11 to 20 and 10 to 100. 11 tot 20 en 10 tot 100. Oké? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay? Then we have the numbers here from 10 to 100, all in tens. Okay? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, not too bad, right? Pretty similar to English. Okay. Hoe oud ben je? Hoe oud ben je? Okay, that means how old are you? Hoe oud ben je? Ik ben 42. Whoa, 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 whoa. You might look at this and go, what? How do I pronounce that? Okay, don't worry about those little dots. Those are just there to sort of maintain the correct pronunciation. That's why behind here I've written it 42 to show what's going on. Because here we have a little peculiar thing about Dutch. 42. So if I look that up in my thing, it says 2, 2, 40, 40. 40. Dus 42, it's basically saying 2 and 40. Where in English and a lot of other languages, we would say 42. But in Dutch, it's the other way around. So it takes a bit of getting used to. Okay, let's see another example. Hoe oud is Lonneke? Lonneke is a female name. Hoe oud is Lonneke? Okay, Lonneke is, okay, I'm going to say a number and see if you can put in the chat the number that I'm saying. All right, so pay attention. Lonneke is 57. 57. 57. I hope somebody's putting it in the chat. Okay, 57 is, yeah, are you writing it in there? 57, 57. It's crazy, isn't it? 57, 57. Goed. Okay, so the question, hoe oud ben je? And try and practice your age. Maybe you can put that in the chat too. Ik ben 16 of ik ben 23. Ik ben 63. Oké, we gaan verder. Okay, we have a little game here because we like to use a lot of games and get the participants, the students, to play them. But I'm going to skip it so to make sure I can get through the other activities right now. Okay? Familie. So I'm going to read out the words, the names of family members, and then we're going to have a look at this picture and see who's who. Okay? Because we want to know the family, the names of family members who can ask a few questions. That's our goal for today. Oké, daar gaat hij. De vader, de papa. What's the difference? As in many languages, we have a very formal form, father. But I don't know, I don't call my dad father. No, I say papa. Okay? Moeder, mama. Again, mother, the formal descriptive word, mama, mom, ma. Those are the words that we actually use to address our mother. De ouder, de broer, de zus, de opa, de oma, de zoon, de dochter, het kind, de kinderen. Okay. So let's have a look using this picture. Who's who? You can probably guess, although there's a little surprise in there. Maybe somebody's already spotted it. Vader, moeder of papa en mama. Opa, opa. Okay, so there's two grandparents here, two granddads. Zoon, zoon. Dochter, zoon. Okay. I have a question for those that maybe know a little bit more Dutch. This is the question. Hoeveel kinderen heeft deze familie? Hoeveel kinderen heeft deze familie? How many children does this family have? And I'm not going to include the father or mother who could be the children of the grandparents, okay? Okay. Aha, de ouders hebben 4 kinderen. So, the parents have 4 children. Goed zo. So, we're ready to use the family names now to practice a little bit? Yeah. Okay. So, we're going to learn the pronouns in the singular only, otherwise it would be too much. Dus ik, I, ik. Jij of je, there's 2 forms, but I'll explain that another day. Jij of u, right? Direct, I call it direct, you know. Informal, more formal. Jij, u. Hij, he. Zij, she. Het, it. Okay. Again, a little note about pronunciation. Make sure to blow out a bit of air to pronounce that H. There are many languages where the H is silent, but in Dutch it's not silent. Het, het. Okay. Right, so we're starting here with the verb zijn, to be, zijn. Ik ben, ik ben. Jij of u bent, jij bent, u bent, you are. Hij is, zij is, het is, he, she, it is. So is actually the same as in English, isn't it? Ik ben, jij bent, u bent, hij, zij, het is. Oké, en dan nu met hebben. Hebben. To have. Ik heb. Ik heb. I have. Jij en u hebt. Hij, zij, het heeft. Oké. Okay. So, don't worry, we're going to practice a bit more. Here's an example. Ik ben lerares. Lerares. That means teacher. Ik ben lerares. Hij heeft een hond. Hij heeft een hond. He has a dog. Je bent arts. Je bent arts. You are a doctor. Okay. Now, we're going to show you quickly how to form questions. Okay? If the affirmative is ik ben lerares. Okay, if I wanted to change that into a question, I would start with ben. So I bring the verb forward and then I have the correct question format. Ben ik lerares? Not a very natural thing to ask yourself, obviously, because you know, but you know. Ben ik lerares? Ben ik lerares? Am I a teacher? Okay. Ben jij? But what's going on here then? Because it says jij bent. So why does it say ben jij? Is that a mistake? No, it's not. In the second person, which is jij, I have to remove the T when I ask a question. Okay? So it's not bent jij, it's ben jij. Okay, bijvoorbeeld, ben jij 16? Ben jij 16? Are you 16 years old? Ja. En dan, is hij je broer? Is hij je broer? Is he your brother? Is zij je zus? Is zij je zus? Is she your sister? Okay. So we swap them around. So now we've done it with the verb to be. Now let's do a few questions with hebben, have. Okay. Heb ik tijd? Bijvoorbeeld, heb ik tijd? Do I have time? Heb ik tijd? Heb jij een fiets? Heb jij een fiets? That would be an interesting question too, to respond in the chat. Heb jij een fiets? What is een fiets? Do we remember what that means? Bicycle. Heeft hij een fatbike? They're so popular right now in the Netherlands, right? So, heeft hij een fatbike? Ja of nee? We're going to get into the responses in a minute. En heeft zij een auto? Heeft zij een auto? Does she have a car? So, for those of you that like to compare with another language, you will notice that in Dutch we don't have an auxiliary verb like we do in English, right? In English, I have to say, does he have? No, we don't have that. It's just the verb, just that you put it in front of the pronoun. Not too bad, right? Niet zo moeilijk, toch? Oké, dus nog 2 minuten. Just in time. We're going to practice with these questions now. I just have a few questions and a model answer. Een voorbeeld antwoord. Oké, voorbeeld vragen over familie. Heb je kinderen? Heb je kinderen? Kinderen. What did that mean again? Well, the response could be a very short response. Ja of nee. Ja, yes. Nee, no. Okay? And what does it mean? Do you have children? Heb je kinderen? Ja, nee. If it's a yes, you can of course give more information. People ask me, Elise, heb je kinderen? Zeg ik, ja, ik heb 2 kinderen. Oké, nog een voorbeeld. Heb je een broer? Heb je een broer? Do you have a brother? Ja, hij heet Mark. His name is Mark. Okay. Normally we would probably ask, heb je een broer, heb je broers of zussen? Okay, but here I simplified it. Heb je een broer? Oké. Heeft je zus kinderen? Oké, kinderen, children, right? Heeft je zus kinderen? Does your sister have children? Let's see if she does. Ja, ze heeft 2 kinderen. Net als ik. Ja. Oké. I can't believe the half hour is already up. Goed gedaan. Goed gedaan. I hope you really enjoyed this class. I really enjoyed teaching you this way, in a different way, without being able to interact. But I really hope that so many of you out there who'd never studied Dutch or are maybe reviewing are like, okay, it's not that bad. You can learn step by step with lots of examples in context. It's very doable. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow, Marjolein has another session. She's going to talk about more structures that you can use, very practical structures for questions and answers. I will be there too in the chat moderating. And then we have on Wednesday, we have the games where you can win a prize. And Thursday and Friday, we have 2 more sessions. Same time, same place. Dankjewel. Dankjewel. Thank you very much for being here. And I hope to see you again tomorrow. Okay? Tot morgen. Tot morgen. I'm going to stop sharing this now. And tot morgen iedereen.